It's got to come down. It trickles down. It's the type of thing that trickles down to us. And it, in the last 4 to 5 years, started to make a lot more sense. The more the pieces came together. And one day I was in my office and I got an email from the Regional Planning Commission. Now in Massachusetts, they've deconstructed county government to a large extent. It's largely a facade. And what is the same people that said county government was corrupt, it was expensive, it was sluggish, and it was all these terrible things. And it was. There was corruption and all kinds of things. Rather than clean up the mess and shine the light of day on these things and fix the problem, they got rid of it, said we don't need it. Now we were more in a constitutional realm at the county level. Now these same people that were out lobbying to get rid of county government had the solution, and it was regional government. We need regional government. Now we just had regional government. You deconstructed it, threw it away, and now you want regional government again. What does this mean? What is different about it? So we've been slowly discovering what that does mean. We know that it means that your regional planning commission is going to have a land use plan, which is far bigger than your local bylaws and even the state zoning. This is all Chapter 40 from Massachusetts. This is another 1 layer, 2 layers, your local layer. They got some ideas in there, and it started popping up in my inbox. This one they sent out to all these guys that leave all the emails to my colleagues in the CC field for me to contact later. But this went out to a lot of people, as you can see. And one of the things that they wanted, it was 4 things. They wanted to regionalize conservation commissions. All right, no more will your town have a local commission. You can go in, bang on their doors. What do you mean? I've got a blue spotted whatever in my wherever. No, you're not going to have that. You're going to have a regional officer now. And here are the things that they're going to focus on. To identify priority lands for permanent protection, to identify stakeholders and other interested parties, to determine conservation options and ownership strategies, to assist with land conservation negotiations, sounds like they're expecting trouble, and to identify funding options. Now, nailed up on my wall, over my head, in my office, are the 8 interests of the Wetlands Protection Act. And it talks about protecting groundwater, it talks about protecting surface water, and forests, and animals, and all kinds of things. Soil, those things that you would expect your local conservation commission to want to be focused on. Well, if we accept this regional officer, they're going to target land, quell dissent, and identify funding sources. That doesn't sound very friendly or conservation-oriented to me. Because it's been my experience that the best stewards of the land are the private property owners. They have a direct vested interest. They will not devalue their property if they know there's a better option. Well, needless to say, they got my attention. They were looking for my job. And they were advertising this. This came through not too long after. And it was an invitation to come out to a sub-regional meeting. Now, the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, which is PVPC on here, they are our local regional planners. There are 43 towns in their district, and they have 4 sub-regional meetings. Now, all 4 of them are green communities, and one of them is a member of ICLEI. Now, ICLEI, back when it formed, back in 1990, was known as the International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives. Today, they're ICLEI, Local Governments for Sustainability, because the whole international thing tipped off people that were paying attention and realized that they were having international bureaucrats in their cities creating contracts with their mayors. And it's a violation of the Constitution. That's not to be done. But anyways, all 4 of these cities, it's no surprise they were green communities and propped up by ICLEI. And I showed up to one of them, the one in Northampton. There were 5 people at that meeting. other than the facilitators. There were 5 people. There were 2 from the town of Amherst. Amherst is a town that flies the UN flag in front of their town hall. His band, marching bands, and the American flag from his school because it's military. All right, it's a very peculiar town, and 2 of their representatives showed up to help us decide what the other 43 towns were going to look like. And 2 from Northampton, and myself. And I was, at first, I said, I'm going to go in there and be a fly on the wall, and I'm going to listen. And I did. And I got their PowerPoint, and I let them go through it. And when you got to the end, because my big thing is, you know, obviously property rights, but I came from a small gentleman's farm. I really, really like agriculture. And I'm really, really sad at the state of the small family farms. It's quite disgusting what's happened to local food security. So I was there and listening, and he went on this tirade, because I showed up in my work duds and it's fresh out of work, so he probably assumed that I was doing something forestry or agriculture related. And they hit the agriculture stuff pretty heavy in one part and said, you know, we've got this layer for active agriculture. And we searched and we searched and we found every farm, no matter how big or how small. We've got it, and they're represented on this map. And not only that, but we weighted that layer higher. So when I talk about data layers, I'm talking about GIS data layers. Does anyone not know what GIS is? All right, it's basically the satellite imagery that you get of the Earth, and you can create a data layer for forestry and tell the different types of trees that are there, for floodplains, political boundaries. A layer can be created for almost everything. And this particular layer was their active agriculture. The farm's lucky enough to still be alive.